Okay, so if I just share my screen. Okay, so as I said, this is a series of lunch and learns on the ONE Finance roles and networks that are available. And today we are talking about the Value Maker Network and the Finance and Clinical Educator Network. So firstly, the Value Maker role. So the Value Maker role, this was the first network that was launched back when it was Future Focus Finance, before it kind of evolved into ONE Finance. So that was 2014, so quite a while ago. And this was kind of the first of these networks that FFF launched. And the idea of having this kind of Value Maker badge was just to try and find people who were working in NHS organisations who felt particularly passionate about what they did and wanted to be connected up with each other, you know, not just within their regions and systems, but across the country, be able to share good practice, and be able to sort of support each other, champion their organisations, but also kind of champion each other. So it was started obviously quite a while ago, and it's grown quite a lot in that time. It's definitely one of the sort of broadest roles in terms of, you know, what it means to people and kind of how you interpret it. Essentially, you know, it's just saying that you're someone who's committed to making a difference, whether that's just in your particular job role or in something you're doing for your finance department or your organization. And the idea is to, like I said, you know, bring people together across the country, so you can kind of harness the power of very enthusiastic people coming together, sharing good practice and taking that back to their own organisations. And it is also part of the Towards Excellence accreditation. So if your organisation is applying for level 1, 2 or 3 of the ONE Finance accreditation, then having people in Value Maker roles in your organisation is part of that required criteria. In terms of who can be a value maker, anyone at any level in the finance team, but also doesn't have to be finance. So people in your organisation who work in non-finance roles can be value makers as well. So literally anyone can join. In terms of the network, there's over 3,000 nationally now in this network, particularly in the Midlands, there's 422. Our kind of aim from the Regional Academy's perspective is to try and build that into 500 for the Midlands. And you can see there, I've just done a breakdown of how many value makers there are in different regions across the country. So because it's one of the, you know, longest standing networks, it does have a lot of numbers. What's the experience once you've joined? Signing up as a value maker absolutely doesn't have to add to your day job at all. It's very much, you know, a lot of the roles across ONE Finance, but particularly the value maker role, you know, you can use it and interpret it completely as you wish, and that includes how much of your kind of time and resource you put into it, and sort of how involved you get. So some people like to use it very much just as a badge for things that they are already doing, and other people join the network and want to get a bit more involved in kind of new areas. But what it can do is give you access to, you know, to a lot of information and events, and put you in touch with colleagues who you maybe wouldn't have networked with before, especially those kind of outside of your particular local area. Yeah. We run quarterly Value Maker meetings for all of the regions. So that's something that you can kind of attend, and they tend to have kind of case studies and sessions of interest at each of those. And then ONE Finance also run their own sort of Value Maker showcase sessions, which are very much case study based on sort of the best things that people are doing at the moment. There's also Value Maker channels in all of the Future Focus Finance Microsoft Teams. which if you don't have access to those already, particularly the kind of national Teams network, can be extremely helpful. It's full of people just asking for advice and questions, and you get a huge amount of responses from people all over the country if you're just want a bit of help with a particular area, or kind of looking for documents that other people might have done already, so you don't have to start from scratch. So you don't have to be a value maker, but you kind of get access to particular areas of that if you are, but definitely would recommend joining the MS Teams if anyone's not aware of it. And like I said, if you want to, you can dedicate some more of your time to the network. The best way to do that is to get involved with the region's Value Maker Steering Group, who take a bit more of a lead on what the network is doing in their region. And in terms of the event side of things, one of the biggest things that this network does is the annual Value Maker Conference, which just happened at the beginning of November. So it's in November every year. Huge conference. It's face-to-face, but they also stream it online as well. And they always have awards for value makers, which is a great way to kind of recognise and celebrate your colleagues. There's links there to joining, which I'll put in the chat in a minute as well, and kind of where you can sign up if you're interested. So moving on to the FACE role. So Finance and Clinical Educators. So if you join in this network, it means the kind of badge you're wearing is being a face of finance in your organisation. So working with non-finance colleagues to help them understand finance and help them by running kind of training sessions. Sorry, I'm just admitting people into the meeting while I'm talking as well. So the FACE members, it's all about championing clinical engagement and delivering finance training. And similarly to value makers, having FACE members in your finance team is part of the accreditation criteria. It also includes requirements for them to have FACE certification, which I'll run through in a minute. ONE Finance also run their own demystifying finance sessions for non-finance colleagues to attend, which are always attended by kind of clinicians and non-finance managers in their hundreds. So they're very popular, and they just put those on fairly regularly. In terms of who can be in the FACE network, anyone working in finance can join. So often what organisations do is, it's very common for people in the finance team to already be delivering, training to budget holders, clinicians and managers. So a lot of that is already happening in organisations. So it's just about recognising that a bit more officially as part of this network. So if you have people who are already running, training for budget holders, they can sign up to the FACE network and then they can log the training that they're already doing and get the FACE certification for that. So again, in terms of the network nationally, there's over 1,200 in the network and 175 in the Midlands. And there's a breakdown there of how many are in the network across all the different regions. And once you've joined, the finance and clinical educators get access to quite a lot of sort of resources and guidance to try and support them specifically around them going out and delivering finance training to their colleagues in their organisations. And we also have the certification. So this is a way of recognising members who are very active and going out and kind of doing this teaching. So you can, once you've joined the network, you can log your teaching hours via quite a simple online form, and then you get certified for 3 different levels for 5 hours of teaching, 10 hours and 20 hours of teaching. And you get those stars next to your profile on the ONE Finance website, and it's also linked into the accreditation criteria as well. The teaching hours that you log, they last for a year from the date of the training that you delivered, and after a year then it does come off, so you need to kind of keep on top of logging any training that you do. And similar to the value makers, they run a lot of kind of showcase sessions and other forums and workshops for people in this network to meet each other and exchange ideas and best practice. They also have quite a lot of resources for the network, so toolkits and documents that simplify processes such as clinical coding, which you can just pick up and use in your training, an NHS glossary of terms, and videos and animations and ready-made presentations for people to be able to go away and use in training. joining, there's links there, and I will pop those in the chat in a minute as well. So that's all from me. Sorry, it feels like I've steamed through, but I did want to give plenty of time to hear from Luca and from Amanda. So Luca, can I hand over to you first, and can you talk to us, introduce yourself first, and then talk to us a bit about the value maker role?
Yeah, you just said everything. You left not many things you should talk about.
Just your personal experience, Luca. When you joined, why you joined, you know, what you get out
everyone.
of
it. I'm Luca Paleri. I currently working for Lincolnshire ICB as head of financial planning, and I joined the NHS in 2016. So for me, I think trying to give some key message here. I'm a CIMA member, so the kind of network of support or expected support that we should have before I joined the NHS was through the accountancy body, really networking, and it felt really. I don't know if you have shared the same feelings, almost like an opportunity for you to take more money from you. So when I joined the NHS and I came across HFMA and was asked to attend the conference, and I found out about future focused finance at the time, I was really amazed, because really that there was not the intention as my previous experience. I found really, as Becky said, a group of enthusiastic people who are there for the right reason, I would say, and they want to really add value. So initially, basically, I was asked, how can you contribute? What is your expertise? And start thinking about, you never think about my expert in this, but then you think about what you've been doing for the past few years and what you do on a daily basis. And I think, this could be useful for someone. So I remember putting my email address and registering as a value maker, and having access to a lot of value makers in the country, which for me was amazing. And people at the time, they don't still have, but they had expertise linked to their name. And I started having the first, networking opportunities and start chatting with people. And I realized that you really could ask anything. You can solve the problem. I felt like the network, the value maker network, as like your kind of friend. I don't know, maybe everyone's got one that has always a solution for you. They always find someone who can help you, and the value making network does exactly that. You have access to everyone in the country who is willing to share knowledge, and you can find almost everything you want. Just give an example. A few years ago, I was a finance lead for a large capital project, and there was a lot of economic evaluation and asset impairment calculation to understand the depreciation, PDC, something really I wasn't familiar with. And the option there was to hire someone to pay £300,000 to do that piece of work for us. And I say, hold on, let's see whether I can find some information through the network. And I was amazed at the level of expertise around the country, specific to the project I was working with. And I finished the OBC, and now the project is actually going to be live in January. It's a £30 million capital project without having to spend £300,000. Just a simple example. For me, really, the value maker, being a value maker, is really the attitude, is the enthusiasm. Promoting NHS finance career, you do support staff, you try to innovate, you link with people, you arrange event, you want to find best practice, but also you want to share best practice. Once you start, I think you almost become addicted to it, and it's really amazing addition, because your team benefits from it. You create a positive environment around you. You find positive people in the network who want to do exactly the same they create a kind of, they almost leading, not formally, but in practice, they are leading the development of the finance function. And you got a lot of rewards in terms of first gratification, but also say the benefit that you can ask and you get help, and nobody is really make you feel that is burden for them. So for me, it's been an amazing positive experience, and I really recommend, and I always try to get people involved, because it is important now more than any time, because we are so being threatened by disruptive innovation, that we need to make sure that we are sustaining and developing our finance function in the right direction, and the value maker network is the right channel to do so. Sorry, stop talking. I'm conscious
Thank you, Luca.
that you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Luca. If anyone's got any questions for Luca, just keep them to the end, and I'm going to hand over to Amanda first. So thank you, Luca. That really brought it to life, definitely. So Amanda, you are going to tell us a bit about the Finance and Clinical Educator role.
Yeah, thanks, Becky. So when I joined the NHS, it was 16 years ago now, I was astonished at how complex NHS finance was. So since then, I've kind of had a real passion for making sure that we as finance professionals use that knowledge and experience and skills that we've gained to be able to share with others, and to be able to kind of use that to enable us to improve outcomes for patients. So my role as FACE probably takes on two domains. So firstly, I still teach some sessions to non-finance colleagues, but the second, probably more important one, is about guiding and supporting the development of teaching materials for sessions that are delivered by others. So for us as quite a small finance team, so I forgot to introduce myself, Amanda Gaston at the Royal Orthopaedic Hospital. So we are quite a small finance team, so being able to be part of that network has really supported the organisation to be able to deliver a wide range of training support. So that's really valuable for us. It gives us that bit of resilience. So the resources that are available are quite broad in topic area, but they're not just broad, but they're also really engaging, which is really important for us to make sure that we're engaging people and want people to be interested in NHS finance and keep them engaged. Some of the guides are really helpful. So if you're thinking about kind of building a framework, then there's some really great guides out there. But having that network that you can pull upon for support when it's needed is always particularly helpful. So really reach out to that network and use it. So the showcase sessions and the presentations that are available from others to learn from, particularly taking that best practice. Why reinvent the wheel if other people have already done some of this elsewhere? So use that resource and be able to kind of engage not just within your organisation or even across your integrated care system, but across kind of the national finance network is always real value added. So we've seen some real benefits from having FACE educator roles in the organisation, so that level of engagement in finance across the organisation, and particularly clinicians, are now actively approaching us to work with them rather than us having to seek them out to kind of speak to them about decisions that have been made, or whether they're thinking about embarking upon a new business case or an initiative. Improved decision making. So we do have clinicians kind of actively using that material that we've taught them. So kind of even down to clinicians referring to IFRS 16 within their proposals and verbally talking about that, which kind of would not have happened when I first started the NHS. So it's also really boosted our team confidence. So building that confidence within our team to have a really good training offer across the whole organisation. And it's also a really fulfilling role. So it's definitely one that if you're thinking about it, reach out and speak to others that are FACE educators within your system, or just have a look at the material and the guides that are out there. So yeah, my top tip really is just to start to get involved. Some great resources already available on the FACE network part of the One NHS Finance intranet site, but it's been a really fulfilling role for me to undertake. So yeah, definitely recommend it.